your hand and meet them. You have people in the audience, and so the idea is to give that opportunity. If questions go a little longer, it's okay to go a little longer. If you're having good dialogue, let it go. You know?
That's a good point. Earlier, we're not taking any questions from the audience. Right, okay.
No,
Yeah,
this
not
is-
during
Wanted to make
interview,
sure that
it's
we
probably the
cleared that
mingling
right up.
afterwards, right?
Yeah, a little
No,
mingling
no,
if there are people
yeah.
here after.
Yep.
Mingling is
Yeah.
fine, but no questions from the audience.
Yeah. So if it's a good, feel free to follow up. If there's a good discussion going, have that discussion continue. People can follow up on it. It's best to be a little informal, but keep to the general area that you want to talk about. It doesn't have to be exact, but that would be the way to do it. And if there's anything notes you want to follow up, make a note of the follow-up, and we can, do follow-up at some point. However we do it, we'll figure out several ways we could do that if it's necessary on that.
And then the room at the end of the hall where the coffee and the fruit and all that is, that's just for us and the candidates, it's not for the public.
Okay.
So with the public, if there's any mingling with the candidate and the public, it would be here in this room. But if we want to run down and get something, or if you want to walk the candidate down, or one of you does,
So
and talk
this-
to them, you can go down there if you want.
This is the little conference room down there.
The water department.
Okay, the
Just
water
before the
department room,
track.
okay, yeah,
Just
okay.
before
I
the
didn't,
track.
I just heard
Yeah.
the room at the end of the hall.
Yeah, there's coffee and there's
Yeah.
fruit in there, yeah.
Okay.
So when the candidate comes in, I'd say, I'd get up, talk to them, stand a little bit before they sat down, just chat with them, and that kind of issue, and try to keep it in that vein if you're doing. And I think there's a couple things that are important. I think how you react to the candidate, the kind of chemistry issue is going to be very important here. That has been a current theme from the material that I read and from what I've seen, so I think that's really important. As well as the substantive knowledge and things such as that. I think it's particularly sensitive in this particular case. And I think it's legitimate to ask style-related questions. Well, tell me how you operate, within town government, and talk about those things and see if you can draw out those kinds of issues, because that's an issue. Do I sit in my office? Do I walk around? Or what are they like? And that's the opportunity when you're informal, just to talk about that, see how someone handles you on that kind of issue. Because if you think about what you do in the business, half the time you go to meetings, you don't know people, you walk up and say, I'm
Yeah.
Mark Morse, I'm from such and such.
And they sit
You know.
there and.
Yeah, you need to talk to people.
Are
you
we
know.
formal, Mr. Follen? What do you think?
I would just say to him, how would you like to, I always say to Ken, how would you, may I call you Peter, would you like, and he's going to say yes.
Of course he's going to say yes.
Whichever way you think's appropriate, Informal standing up, formal sitting down.
Okay,
How's that?
okay.
Okay.
So we'll call him Mr. Follen at the
Yeah.
table.
And then, so it's Follen, Boudreau, Suso, and Theron? Or Theron?
Therian and then
Therian.
Suso.
Therian. I'm just wondering how to pronounce them. There. I've got the whole,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
got that, I was just,
Our bus driver yesterday, that we had the bus driver on our Cape tour, he said to me, aren't you a selectman in Falmouth? And I said, yes. And he said, I need to talk to you. I said, okay. So when we got off the bus, I said, what is it you want to talk to me about? Well, I know one of your candidates. I used to work for him. I just want you to know he's really a good guy. I said, well, thanks very much.
It's a small world.
so which candidate did that endorse? We hope to find out later? No.
No.
Quick question then. So, questions that aren't on this list are verboten?
No.
No, okay.
The idea is to give you some general
those
guidelines.
ideas.
in the
Yeah,
area
to get
and
going.
expand.
Okay, yeah.
And I tried to
Okay.
capture from you the different things people said.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to
Yeah,
capture it.
okay.
These are the general area and the
Yeah.
kinds of questions that we should be asking, so
Yeah.
that we cover the ground that's.
So, do you want us to ask questions in the order that we're seated here, or how shall we do this? I mean, I'd sort of like to ask one of the local questions, because that would perhaps segue into a bigger question that I'm thinking of.
It's fine. Just be
Yeah.
reasonably consistent.
Yeah, no, I will be.
Well,
yeah.
we should probably go maybe just down the table or up the table or something, so that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so that you know that you're going to be the next person, so you don't have to sit and wait to say
Yeah,
something.
well, that's why I'm asking you while we're doing this, so.
Well, why don't we start with Kevin? We'll go down the table, well, I'll start with the first
Yeah.
one, unless you want to do the second one. We can do that.
I'm fine if you want to start there and then come this
Okay,
way.
I'll do mine,
Okay.
because I have to introduce the board to him, although we will have already done that
Right,
in
But
the
we
informal part, so I
officially-
won't have to do that.
right.
But you're
Well, it's good
introducing-
officially just to do it.
Officially, right.
You're-
I don't know when we're on camera.
We're probably on camera right now.
Yeah, and so you're.
Just to let you know.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So you need to introduce
always
the
not-
candidate to the world.
Is the candidate there? Do you know? Did you see the candidate? Did you see Mr. Foley?
No,
Oh,
no, I just checked.
Oh.
I'll bring him down.
I
No,
don't
I
think the-
I gotta have him do something. I need about 1 minute with him.
All right.
I think the first ferry's at 7 over, so the first ferry back is probably also around 7:45. Yeah.
His email was that he would get here, he said what time was there, and he would get here.
Yeah.
That's what the email from him said.
Okay, well, he's got from 8:30 to 8:45 to arrive, so we're still too early
Yeah, well,
looking for
remember,
it,
you've
yeah.
got the president arriving today, too, so
Yeah.
I'm sure the ferries are
I
a
actually
little
didn't-
full.
Yeah, well, he's coming off Cape, or off island, perhaps, who knows? Oh, well.
The,
He's all flying.
I'm sorry, I lost my thread. One of the things, if you look, at some of the resumes, if you take a look at them, may warrant follow-up. For example, if you look at the first one, there are some interesting issues discussed in the bullet points. Each one has a few, slightly different things that may warrant a slight follow-up, and that's certainly legitimate in that. And I would suspect, Madam Chairman, that if someone finishes their response, you might ask if there's any follow-up questions from anybody, just to, to have, the objective is to get them to talk as much as possible, each of the
Mhm,
candidates.
right.
That's what you really
Yes,
want.
we
them
want them to talk, not us.
Right, you want them really to wander down the path.
And two, we have that, in that 15-minute period, that informal time is really a flexible time.
Yeah.
If we are not quite finished yet with our questions, we can use it to finish up the questions, or,
Yeah, and it gives you a little quick pause. Sometimes you have a question after the fact, just to walk up, just follow up. And the idea is to give you, in a limited time frame, as much opportunity to see and one of those candidates in that sense.
And so I take it we probably shouldn't quote their resumes since we're televised and these are personal, confidential.
Information
Documents,
about the
information.
candidate, professional experience and background is public.
And
Most of the
we all know
candidates
the
are
questions.
sophisticated enough not to
I
put
hope-
on their
Yeah.
hobby as
I hope everybody has a
skydiving.
chance just to review on the interview guides that John
That was a
got
great
for
guide,
us,
yeah.
the questions that we can ask, I'm sure.
Mhm.
So even for me, I need to review them sometimes, because it's good to refresh.
Occasionally, there are interesting experiences that occur at interviews.
What's that?
Sometimes there are very interesting questions that come up during interviews.
That's true.
I mean, see, it's a little different, some of the quirky things that you mentioned,
I think
that
that-
mentioned.
I have,
Just a sec, I don't need this.
and
People feel comfortable, organized, I mean, we can go over specific things. There's certain things I don't want to mention, some of the issues, because we're on camera. I suspect a couple candidates stayed here last night. They were in town, so they stayed here, so they're probably watching us now.
Oh. If they get FCTV in their rooms.
That's true, that's true.
there are some really good questions here, too. I mean, some of the ones we do want to talk about bargaining, negotiating, because sometimes the town manager is not the chief negotiator.
Right.
Sometimes they designate an assistant to do that, so that they're free to make the decision, when they reach a bargaining point that, where there's almost an impasse, if you will, and they have to go back and get their direction from the town manager. So it'll be interesting to know what role the town manager, these candidates played in bargaining.
Yeah, I think some of the top grouping would be a nice path to talk a little bit about in particular.
The which?
The top 3 or 4, the subject matter in the top item.
And the top, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important to talk about.
I do. I checked off 2 of those.
Yeah, I mean, just the
actually, as
concept
ones that we
behind it,
should
I
really,
think comes across.
establishing working relationships.
And that kind of,
Well, hopefully,
With the board as well. which
hopefully
is-
the candidate will
Which is the
actually,
first one.
But hopefully the candidates will discuss that when they walk in, but we also,
Do you
like
need a
you just
copy
said, we
of
don't
No,
want
Oh,
I've
you
got
to,
mine
have it?
here,
Oh,
thank
okay.
as Mr. Morse just said, we don't want to
What?
announce to the world what these questions are before we get going here.
No,
Yeah.
no, but the context of the
Yeah.
questions.
But hopefully they'll talk about that a little bit in their
Okay.
elevator speech when
Yeah.
they get up. Yeah.
I mean, since we're on, as the chairman knows, chairperson knows, as someone comes in, since, you're familiar with them and the resume, having them spend a couple minutes talking about what they think and who they are is an important thing to present to the public. I think that's critical that we, that if it doesn't come out, we need to make sure it comes out, for that purpose. Usually it does, but you might want to encourage that if necessary in the beginning part.
So that you,
Okay.
That's me.
So
I put it on, to see if anybody has a
you're-
problem, I said, if anybody has a problem, I said, just contact me, That's what I do it. Other than that, I turn it off as soon as I get nervous about what happens to people.
Yeah, you get stuck in traffic, or the boat doesn't go, or...
Right. Yeah. Would you excuse me one second? I'm going to walk in.
I think we're done. Can't we call a little recess till we're ready to start, unless
Sure.
anybody has anything else? No? Okay. So we're in recess. you.